Deep beneath one of the most famous landscapes on Earth, hidden between giant walls of ancient red rock, there is a village that feels like it belongs to another world. A place where there are no highways, no traffic jams, no crowded streets, and no ordinary way to arrive. To reach this village, you cannot simply drive there. You cannot follow a normal road. You must walk through one of the deepest canyons on the planet, following ancient trails that have existed for thousands of years. And after hours of walking through a landscape that seems impossible to survive, a surprising sight appears. A green paradise surrounded by endless desert, blue-green water flowing through the canyon, waterfalls falling from enormous cliffs, and a small community that has protected its home for generations. This is Supai Village, the hidden village of the Grand Canyon, a place where ancient traditions still survive, a place where nature decides the rhythm of life, and a place where a community has refused to disappear. When people hear the name Grand Canyon, most imagine the huge cliffs seen from above. Millions of visitors travel every year to stand at the edge of this incredible natural wonder. They look across the endless layers of rock, they take photographs, and they admire a landscape created by millions of years of geological history. But what most people do not realize is that far below those famous viewpoints, deep inside the canyon, another world exists, a world hidden from modern civilization, a world where life moves differently, nearly 30 feet below the canyon rim. Inside a narrow canyon called Havasu Canyon sits Supai Village, a community so isolated that it is considered one of the most remote villages in the United States. But the true mystery of Supai is not only its location. The real story is the people who have called this difficult landscape their home for more than 1,000 years. They are the Havasupai people. Their name means people of the blue-green waters. And once you see their homeland, you understand why. Imagine standing in the middle of a dry desert. Around you are giant red cliffs, a landscape that appears almost lifeless. But suddenly, you hear the sound of flowing water. You walk closer, and something unbelievable appears. A clear turquoise stream moving through the canyon, trees growing beside the water, plants covering the ground, and waterfalls dropping from the cliffs above. It looks like a hidden tropical paradise placed in the middle of a desert. But this beauty is not an accident. For millions of years, water, minerals, wind, and erosion slowly shaped this extraordinary environment. The underground springs of Havasu Canyon created a unique water system. The minerals in the water give the streams their famous blue-green color, and this combination created one of the most beautiful places in North America. But for the Havasupai people, this is more than a beautiful location. This is home. Reaching Supai Village is an adventure unlike almost anywhere else. There are no roads directly connecting the village to the outside world, no cars traveling through the streets, no highways bringing supplies. The journey begins at Hualapai Hilltop, a remote point far away from normal city life. From there, the only way forward is down. Visitors must travel approximately 8 miles through the canyon. The trail passes through enormous cliffs, narrow paths, ancient rock formations, and a landscape that constantly reminds travelers how powerful nature can be. At first, the journey feels exciting. People take pictures. They enjoy the incredible views. But as they move deeper into the canyon, something changes. The sounds of modern life slowly disappear. No traffic, no city noise, no constant distractions. Only footsteps on ancient ground, the sound of wind moving between canyon walls, and the feeling of entering a completely different world. After hours of walking, the first signs of Supai Village finally appear. And for many visitors, it feels like discovering a civilization that time forgot. The Havasupai people have lived in this region for countless generations. Their relationship with the canyon is not simply about survival. It is about identity. The land represents their history, their culture, their ancestors. Long before modern technology existed, the Havasupai learned how to live with nature. They understood the seasons. They understood the water. They understood the plants and animals around them. They created a lifestyle based on balance. The canyon was not just a place where they built homes, it was their source of food, their spiritual connection, their entire way of life. Every trail carried memories, every waterfall had meaning, every mountain represented a part of their story. For the Havasupai, leaving this land would mean leaving a part of themselves behind. Today, life in Supai remains completely different from most communities in America. Only a few hundred people live there permanently. There are no large shopping centers, no busy roads, no normal transportation system. Life depends on cooperation. People know each other, and the community works together to survive in one of the most challenging environments on Earth. Because of its remote location, many important supplies must travel a long distance before reaching the village. Food, equipment, mail, and other necessities. And this is where one of the most fascinating traditions of Supai begins. The mule trains. For generations, mules have carried supplies through the canyon trails. They travel where trucks cannot. They move along paths that humans have used for centuries. The image of mules walking through the Grand Canyon has become one of the strongest symbols of Supai. Imagine receiving your mail, not from a delivery truck, but from a mule traveling through a deep canyon. In most places this would sound impossible, but in Supai, it is simply part of everyday life. However, the greatest treasure of Supai is not the village itself. It is the water. In the middle of a desert, the waterfalls of Havasu Canyon look almost unreal. The most famous is Havasu Falls, a powerful stream of blue-green water dropping over a rocky cliff, creating a bright turquoise pool. Below, the contrast is incredible. Blue water, red canyon walls, green vegetation, a scene that looks like it belongs in a fantasy world. Nearby, Mooney Falls rises dramatically from the canyon floor. Standing hundreds of feet tall, it creates one of the most unforgettable views in the region. And Beaver Falls offers a different experience, a series of smaller waterfalls and pools surrounded by natural beauty. For visitors, these places create unforgettable memories. But for the Havasupai people, they represent something much deeper. They represent their homeland. But living in paradise does not mean life is easy. The same canyon walls that protect Supai can also create danger. One of the biggest threats is flash flooding. Because the village sits deep inside a canyon, heavy rainfall can quickly transform peaceful streams into powerful floods. Over the years, floods have damaged homes, destroyed trails, and forced people to temporarily leave their village. But every time disaster arrives, the Havasupai rebuild. Their strength comes from their connection to the land. For many people, a disaster means losing a place. For the Havasupai, the goal is always to return, to repair, to continue. Because this canyon is not just where they live, it is who they are. In recent years, Supai Village has become famous around the world. Photographs of its waterfalls have spread across the internet. Travelers from different countries dream of visiting this hidden paradise. But popularity also creates challenges. Tourism brings important economic support, but too many visitors can damage the fragile environment. The trails, the water systems, the natural beauty, everything must be protected. That is why access to Supai is limited. Visitors need special permission. The number of guests is controlled, and strict rules help preserve this unique place. Because Supai is not just a tourist destination, it is a living community, a real home, a place where people continue their traditions every single day. What makes Supai Village unforgettable is not only the waterfalls, not only the canyon, not only the incredible scenery, it is the reminder that another way of life still exists, a slower life, a simpler life, a life connected with nature in a world filled with technology, fast cities, and constant movement. Supai represents something rare, a connection to the past, a place where ancient traditions continue in the modern world. Thousands of years have passed, but the blue-green waters still flow. The canyon walls still stand, and the Havasupai people continue their story, a story of survival, a story of culture, a story of a community that refused to disappear. Deep beneath the famous cliffs of the Grand Canyon, hidden from the busy world above, Supai Village remains one of the most extraordinary places on Earth. A hidden paradise, a living history, and a reminder that sometimes the most beautiful places in the world are the ones that are hardest to reach. This is Supai Village, and this is Veyrscope.